I'm here again tonight with a really awesome guest, and we're just chatting about the singing life. And we're doing that because the music industry, our music community, and all the young up and comers have been really hit hard, like everybody,
Hmm.
during the COVID-19 crisis. And there's a lot of discouragement around not being able to train or perform or collaborate in person. And we're just kind of here tonight to share good news and hopefully inspire you a little bit because creativity and innovation and technology are absolutely exploding right now. And so, we want to tell you about everything that we know. And you heard it here tonight first. I'm officially naming this project the Pandemic Proof Singer Series.
There we go. There we go. I
Yes.
like that. There we
And
go. And it's live, and so it's already patented. Don't
it's already, yeah,
it's
you
already
heard it
patented.
here.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can't think of anybody else who is a better example of a pandemic proof singer than Mr. Leonard Patton with me tonight. He's a producer, recording artist, composer, songwriter, arranger. He's a jazz musician. You have studied and performed everything from musical theater to classical, jazz, attended many distinguished institutions, SDSU, California State University San Marcos, Berkeley College of Music, um, and some others. And you are absolutely a staple in San Diego's jazz scene. You're pretty much an icon, and you've got
Uh,
a lot
okay.
going on. So tell us what is happening. What have you been up to?
A lot. I quickly have to say that Danielle, you are amazing. You are one of the most amazing singers in this town, and just want to say that. I know people probably watching already know that, but just in case you don't know, um, she's amazing.
Oh, thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. So I have to throw that back at
Thank
you.
you. That's nice.
But yeah, I've been busy of late. I'm for probably, pandemic started mid March. Um, from March, at that week when everybody lost all their gigs, when pretty
Yeah.
much you're getting text after phone call, like literally hour after hour. I mean, it was like an avalanche of everything gone, gone, gone. And from then, April was pretty dead. May was pretty dead. I mean, I had a few little things. I had a couple recording projects, a couple little things here and there. Um, June, I had a little more. Than toward the end of June till now. It seems like the past 3 weeks have been busy.
Yeah.
Not to say with all the lack of gigs, I've had projects and working on projects, but I would say the first month, um, it's just like I didn't do much at all,
Yeah.
like most everybody else.
You were right on the verge of an album release, right?
Yeah,
In April.
which I kept delaying,
Yeah.
and I just didn't, it just wasn't ready, mainly because I was just, I I was first 3 or 4 weeks of the pandemic, I didn't do a whole lot, and so I just wasn't ready. I was gonna, like, okay, April 15th, and it you know went to May, and then I pushed it all the way to like June 1st.
Yeah.
So I just was like, which is fine. It wasn't like, you know, people were upset that I was pushing that back. It's just, I just wasn't ready. I had to get myself back in focus to
Yeah.
be able to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And in the meantime, you started another album project, right? Your 50
Well,
songs
yeah.
live.
So that one. So okay. So let me go back. Were you talking initially about the LP and the vinyl one?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Okay. So yes. Okay. That one. Yeah. Multiple albums. So the LP and the vinyl one we released in April. Yes, we did a big virtual CD release um, on mid third week of April, and so that was cool. And then my LP 50 project, which most of that was recorded last year, and initially it was going to be released last year, has something to do to tie in with my birthday last year, but we won't even talk about my age. But um, but life happened, work and stuff. I pushed it off, and then the pandemic happened, and then I'm like, now's a good time to just like absolutely finish it and get it out there. And so that's the project that I kept pushing and pushed. And so my plan was to release a song a day for 50 days. And of course, life is life. And I did a handful of days, and then life thing happens. So I take a full few days off, and then another handful of days. And then, that's just the way it is. And it's chugging along, but it's done. So just here's some, and
Yeah.
then by about the third week of July, you'll have everything. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
tell us how you did that. You had some basically live shows that you did to record some of it, right?
Yeah. So the whole idea is I was live streaming live to release these songs,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done some of that has been live performances with friends just in my garage, and it's cool because like I did one with Rob Thorson, and literally he was on the other side of the garage,
Yeah.
camera facing him, camera facing me. People were like impressed, like, how are you doing that? And it's like,
Yeah.
I just yeah, I'm, he's over here, and then but the camera's right next to each other when you're looking at it, and it's pretty cool. So I've
It
gotten to
does. It
do
looks like
some.
you guys are sitting right next to each other.
Yeah, it's very cool. So I've done some uh, performances, trying to get guests, people who've been a part of the project, to come on and guest. And so um, I got more guests coming as I plug along. But for the most part, a majority of it was recorded last year in about 6 or 7 different studios, probably around 50 different musicians. I don't know, a lot. There's a lot of people on it.
Yeah. That seems like a masterpiece in the making. It sounds like that's quite
Or
a feat.
well, I masterpiece. Well, that I guess I don't know about that. I,
Yeah.
I but it's something I wanted to do. It's a crazy idea I started with, and I just wanted to kind of put out a bunch of songs that were me, and
Mhm.
get a bunch of people on it. I would have, literally gotten everybody in San Diego on it if I would have had the means and the money to do that. I'd have
Yeah.
been like, hey, let's get everybody on it. But maybe one day I'll do another project with another whole group of people. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Well, how was the live streaming experience for you? Was that something you had done previously, or did it take you a lot to get set up, or how did you
So
feel about it?
so I've done live streaming. Um, and I've always been interested in the live streaming. I haven't always done it consistently.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I remember when like Facebook Live, before Facebook Live, it was Facebook Mentions, and they released it only to a certain amount of people, and it was like mainly like famous people.
Hmm.
And so before live, before they ever launched a live, and my friend got it, and then somehow, some way, I was able to get it. And so I did a couple things where I experimented with just having my phone at a concert and doing live, and then ultimately they released Facebook Live, and they released it for everybody.
Hmm.
But um, I think what this pandemic has done is forced us to start figuring things out,
Yeah.
and figuring things out fast. And I'm one of those that I want to get it right, and I want to
Hmm.
I want to get better. It's not gonna it won't be perfect, but I can always improve and get it great. So first thing I did, a couple weeks into my pandemic, I'm like, well, now's a good time to clean out the garage. So
Yeah.
I got my boys, and in 2 days we cleaned out the garage. Uh, I beefed up I just bought a new modem and router because the cable companies lie to you saying their routers are good. And it's like, no, go to Best Buy or wherever and buy the good stuff. So I did that.
Mhm.
I bought like a over 100-foot Cat 6 cable. I
Mhm.
moved the router in the perfect place in the house, but I wanted to go hardwire into the garage, so I ran it up along this beam
Yeah.
that goes across our ceiling, and then got it coming into the garage.
Mhm.
So and so now I got the garage set up to where I can do live. It's been great because you've been a part of a bunch of Zooms and a bunch of different things. So I've needed to do that.
Mhm.
And experimenting with different streaming platforms because there's quite a few, and
Yeah.
trying to, it's like first thing you got to figure out is what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
and then find the platform that's right for you.
Yeah.
Some people, it's pretty easy to where, hey, I'm just bringing on guests. Some people, it's like, Zoom is fine. And some people are using, like Restream
Mhm.
and all, Be Live and StreamYard, and I've experimented with most everything.
Mhm.
But I've been also into this camera switching, so I've been experimenting with this Switcher Studio,
Mhm.
where I've been using, like, I borrow my wife's camera, I use her iPhone, my iPhone. I just get different iPads and doing different things. So um, I yeah, I figured some cool things out, and it's getting better and better. And I'm figuring a lot of cool things out in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So totally an important thing to be doing right now, and it's definitely something I've faced too because I've never been super technically advanced or anything, but in a time like this it's great because it really does push you to do those things. And I don't know if this has been your experience or not, but I've found with the things that I have put together that it was so much easier than I anticipated that it would be. And the way, platforms are being set up now, the gear, it's all very user friendly. And thank God for YouTube and
they're
everyone
trying.
else who's already figured it out.
Yeah, and they're trying to do that. They're actually, because I think for you know the past handful of years,
Hmm.
most live streaming beyond just using your phone have been for people who, for companies and people who are want to be a little more involved. But I think recently they're like, no, we need to make this easy for anybody at home to be able to do. And the pandemics just sped up that process to where
Yeah.
they're like, there's a platform for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a platform for people who just look. All you got to do is you sit in front of your computer, use this platform, blah blah blah, go live. And you can go live, just to Facebook, or Facebook and YouTube, or Twitch, or all these other things. If you're into all of that, you can go to multiple platforms. So um, it's constantly growing.
Yeah.
It's constantly growing.
Yeah, it really is. I know, and we kind of touched on this before we went live, but I sat in on some conferences last week that were really focused a lot on moving forward with technology, with an emphasis on how, as musicians, we can collaborate in real time
Yeah,
online. And at one point, the latency issue, the lag between um, each person was just, you just couldn't get past that. It made it
yeah,
nearly impossible. But they've already come up with solutions for stuff like that. There's a great platform that there's a lot of them actually, but
yeah,
the one I'm hearing about the most is SoundJack. And I've
yeah,
seen tons of people experimenting with them. A friend of mine is a pianist and has done some experiments with a friend, across town, and they're playing and singing together without any lag time
Yeah,
between them. And it's,
yeah,
it's really amazing. Just it's going to
yeah.
be another one of
It's
those things to move into.
yeah, absolutely. And we have to embrace it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's I think the main thing is for people is some people still are in places where the internet's bad. Everybody had to go home because of this pandemic, and depending on the area they live, some internet was bogged down more than ever before. So I think now really it's about making sure that we have the best connection
Hmm.
to do what we need to do. Because some people live in a place where they don't. Um, uh, so fortunately, I've got it about as good as I can be in my garage. It's pretty good. I also um, kind of, this is a little secret, but not a secret anymore. I'm leasing a space, and I have fiber internet, and
Oh, nice.
it's going to be it's going to be a live streaming venue. So that's
Oh
coming
my
soon.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Fiber internet, which is
Yeah.
like, it's faster than the speed of light. No, I don't know about that, but it's cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are the things we need, I think. And I think in these situations where they're, seemingly playing live, it's like making sure that they're all in places where their internet is,
Yeah.
uh,
And I've heard, and it sounds like you already did this, but hardwiring is an absolute must in every one of these scenarios. I mean, you can do it Wi-Fi, but it's gonna um,
yeah.
drag down the whole
Hardwiring is the
internet.
best. If you go Wi-Fi, you want to be just really close to the router. I, tested this router in my space, and the the upload speed is, which is what's important, is the
Mm,
upload speed, because it's what you're uploading to the internet, um, to everybody else. Download speed is not an issue. The download speed is what you're receiving. Well, we watch HD things all the time without any issue, all,
mm-hmm.
all the time. So um, it's that upload speed, and that upload speed, when in my space with the Wi-Fi, is pretty much just about the same. It's
Yeah.
so insane. But yeah, when you're in doubt, if you can hardwire, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce out of there. That's exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So in addition to the live streaming, and then the albums coming out, you're also involved in a theater production that is happening right now.
Yeah, so good friends of mine, Richard Allen and Taryn Gray, they've written four musicals. One of them they wrote a handful of years ago, and they've done different productions of it, different readings of it, concert readings, and I've been involved in a few of them. They did it in New York, and they wrote two others, and then they wrote their latest one. They wrote during the pandemic. So pandemic happened, they wrote a whole musical within 2 months.
Wow.
And so this is a virtual theater festival that started Tuesday, and it played last night, or Tuesday night, last night, tonight, and tomorrow, Friday. And so I'm a part of two of them, and we had rehearsals. We our rehearsals were in Zoom, but then we recorded everything via Skype, and partly because just um, for whatever reason, it was just a lot easier on their technological um, side. But yeah, it was crazy just doing the readings online. We had a day where it was recording day, where we recorded all the scenes, and we had to have our lighting set up just right, our
Mhm.
cameras set up just right. We had our own little costume changes. We pretty much, our costumes were stuff that we got on our own.
Yeah.
We never met together one time for these projects. It was all done virtual. And then all the songs, we ended up it was the easiest recording them on our own. So we had to take time, record them, video them,
Yeah.
and send in the video and the audio, upload them to them while they edit them. And with each scene, I mean, they had the boxes arranged certain things, so they had their own kind of staging
Yeah.
and how they arrange things. It's kind of crazy,
That's incredible.
crazy.
So it's a full-on show
Full
that was
show, yes.
pieced together
Four
from
full
every
shows.
individual recording at their house, basically.
Yes, yes.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they had, so they wrote the shows, but they had someone direct each show. They had a stage manager for each show. They
Wow.
had like it's kind of crazy. And the cast list on this, they got people from local to Broadway. Like you, it's amazing the
Yeah.
people, all the people that are involved in this project. One of the shows, my friend Edred, who is Hamilton on the Hamilton tour.
Mm.
Another guy, Deontay, who is in Hamilton on Broadway. So he's in New York. So not only you have all these different people, but you had different locations. So we're rehearsing, and you had people in New York, Chicago, Midwest to here,
Yeah.
all rehearsing at the same time. It was kind of cool. It was very cool that they were even able to pull this off.
It makes me happy that things like this are happening, you know? I mean, people are not just, giving up and staying at home. I mean, they're making this stuff happen. And I think just the more people try and, push to be innovative and keep doing the thing, that's really going to be the thing that keeps the ball moving forward, right?
Yeah, I
You know?
and honestly, I think a lot of people like initially just the whole technology thing and also just the uncertainty of where things are going.
Yeah.
I think initially, like maybe the first couple weeks in the pandemic, I think a lot of people were just kind of okay, this might pass after a month or two.
This will blow
But
over.
yeah, exactly. But as time went on,
Yeah.
I I know a lot of friends, professional, like talented people, some of the most talented people in town, probably people that you know too, seeing their posts on Facebook about should I think about a new career? Should I,
Yeah.
posting these questions.
Yes.
And yeah, it breaks my heart because
Hmm.
these are truly the most talented people around. Um, and I think probably most of us at some point during this pandemic, maybe for some, it's been a lot of the pandemic, and for some of us, it's just little moments where we kind of, you know, think to ourselves, why am I doing this? We just have to find that motivation.
Hmm.
And I've had those moments. I not for me, it's not about, I don't try to dwell on the negative of things. I've always been one like embrace,
Yeah.
you know, now's the opportunity to make things better, to change things, and when things are all over, we're gonna be in a better place. And but reality hits, and you're at home with you're with your family, and you just have moments where it's just like trying to find that motivation. And also there's a lot of people who I know who haven't had a whole lot of motivation to practice, and these are like the most technically gifted musicians, and it's like, man, I haven't touched my instrument hardly in weeks, and that's
Yeah.
been a lot of people.
Hmm.
And I think it's, well, when you have a lot of gigs, when you have a lot of stuff, you always have something you're working toward. Like
Yeah.
you always constantly like,
Hmm.
I our lives are busy. We have to find time to rest. That's the way it is. I'm like, man, I'm busy for 3 months. I need to carve out some rest time. But we've had those times where we've had to learn new music, a lot of it in a short period of time. we got to practice. Oh, this thing is going to be hard. I better like get my chops up. So
Yeah.
when you have nothing to look forward to, it's hard to find that motivation.
Yeah.
And I think I think there are people who are doing it and pushing forward and making things happen.
Yeah.
And we need those people because not everybody is wired like that. And
Right.
it's not a right or bad thing. It's just they're not wired. They're just I'm wired to play and perform. That's it. I'm
Yeah.
not wired for this other stuff. So if somebody can figure it out for me and tell me where to go and play, I'm cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that's so true. And I've the way I've observed it, I kind of think of it as our music community kind of going in these phases where um the pandemic hits, everything gets canceled, and in a small little way, maybe we all breathed a little sigh of relief that we got an unplanned break, and it was kind of like,
yeah,
well, this is terrible, but I don't mind being off for a week, but
yeah,
then of course that started to go into the next week to the next week. And I think after that, we all kind of started embracing the break and thinking, well, now
yep,
I have the opportunity to be creative and do all these things that I hadn't been able to do when I was, gigging constantly, and I can tackle those other projects and everything. And I think we're kind of still in that phase too, and we're figuring technology out, we're figuring
yeah,
out what the future might look for us. But I think we're right on the brink now of, all right, we've figured out the creative part, but now as a musical community, now we got to figure out how to make a living this way.
yeah,
Not quit our careers as musicians, but figure out how are we gonna make a living out of this? And I think possibilities are popping up, and it's really time to really, really keep your eyes open on that. And I think a lot of it's gonna be technology based.
oh yeah, and it's not going to go away. And
No.
I think things will go slowly
Mm-hmm.
back to normal.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it'll ever go 100% back to normal in the same way.
Yeah.
Even when it goes back to normal, I mean, if something else happens and there's a whole different pandemic, I think if it happens again in a couple years, maybe it's a different virus or something, who knows? And then everything shuts down again. At least we'll be in a place where we're ready for it.
Yeah.
We just were forced into this and forced to figure stuff out. So I think technology is amped up to the place where it's going to get better and better
Mm-hmm.
and easier for your average person. I think that's what they want. It's like I nobody wants anybody to stress. And I think from an artist standpoint, creatively, it's like we need to be able to do what we do in a way where the technology is something that helps us, but it doesn't get in the way.
Yeah.
Um, to the point where pretty much everything is figured out and we can just do what we do, and as you say, make a living, creatively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as the San Diego music community is so amazing. I mean, it's such a tight, kind group of people, and I think we're, we'd be doing ourselves all a favor by sharing the information, sharing the ideas that we're finding, and looking out for one another, and making sure, when I figure out something that is working and potentially, going to make money, um, let's all be in this together,
Yeah,
that
I think there's a lot of that happening.
Yes.
I've been a part of quite a few Zoom meetings and conferences and different things, and everybody helping each other out. I've been a part of this um, on Thursdays. It's my friend Matt Falker. Do you know Matt Falker?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness, you gotta. He's lives up in Oceanside. He teaches at Miracosta College, but he's an amazing pianist and amazing singer. And he's there's this jazz vocal educational academy, and he started a group on Facebook, and he does these Zoom uh, collab meetings every week. It's been going on for a couple months, and this is pretty much like the who's who of of jazz vocal ensemble
Yeah.
arrangers and choir directors all over the country. Like uh, this is these are the who's who of all of them, and they're all in this meeting together, and nobody is above anybody as far as having this figured out. Everybody's sharing. This is what I'm doing because they're leading choirs, and they have to figure out how to do that when a lot of their schools aren't. It's a Knicks thing.
Yeah.
As far as the fall, it's like no, choirs can't meet, so
Mm-hmm.
they have to figure out how to do it and how to keep their program alive so they don't just cut it. It's like we gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
So everybody's sharing ideas, sharing what they're using,
Mm.
and it's cool that there's that collaboration going on because
Yeah.
we're everybody's in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been a part of one meeting where there's one person who's like, I figured out this and this and this and this. No, it's in process. We're figuring things out now,
Yeah.
and the things that people are sharing are things that I used this 2 weeks ago. This is not. I've been developing this for a year.
Yeah.
This is and it's not even perfect yet. It's
Yeah.
just yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
It's crazy.
I love to hear that that's happening. Yeah, and hopefully you'll just see more and more of that. And speaking of our music community and others, we have a couple people that need a shout out. Mariela Contreras. She says, "Hi
Yeah.
Leonard, hi
Uh,
Danielle." Eddie Vandiver is watching. Mike Holguin. Hey Mikey.
Holguin.
Yeah, he says, "Man, I
Mikey.
love me some Leonard Patton."
Mikey.
And Mindy Sadler Storin, she is
Yeah.
my neighbor. Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Um, so, Leonard, everybody, and speaking again of the community, everybody that knows you and talks about you always, of course, always sings your praises. Everybody loves you to death. But they also talk about how driven you are as a musician. You're relentless when it comes to your projects. And a really great example of that is when you took on this setting this world record for gigs. T- Tell us about that story and how that played out.
Well, yeah, that was literally three years ago.
Gosh.
Um, that time goes on, time
Yeah.
goes fast, but I had this idea to set a world record, and it was I, you know, I when I do something, um, I don't do it for try to get my own attention. I'm doing it for something. So this was like for, um, I started a new nonprofit called Jazz Vocal Workshop. So this was for that, and this was like a way to um, maybe raise some money for that. And so I'm like, so that's when I start thinking about those crazy ideas. Um, I just going back to the driven thing, the
Mhm.
motivation thing. I wasn't like that as growing up as a kid in high school and even my early college days. I mean, I just being flat out honest. I I there's a lot of things I wanted to do. I didn't work hard. I had natural talents at things, but I just didn't work hard at it. I went to college and I just did the party life for a while. I just was, and then I at some point I'm like, I need to like really see if this is something. First of all, I'm able to do, and then I'm able to put in the work, and then I got serious, and then um, that's kind of that's the short story of that. But moving back to the 70 and 24, 70. concerts in 24 hours.
Gosh.
I grabbed a few friends, Ed Kornhauser, Matt Smith, and Mac Layton, and they were crazy enough to. I don't think I even had to bribe them. I just said, "Hey, just, you want to do this?" And they were down. And so
Yeah.
yeah, we had a plan, and then um, we did it twice. We actually did it in May, and we fell short. And so we knew we were going to try again, and everybody was down. Like, my wife was telling me, you got to do it sooner than later. Like the momentum, like you don't want to
Yeah.
like wait like a year. And
Yeah.
so we May, June, July. It was like literally 3 months later in August we redid it, and we were even more planned. We had rented a 12 passenger van, and so we had drivers that would literally like drop us off, because some places it's hard to park and you don't want to have to deal with parking. They would let
Yeah.
us out of the car, and they would like circle if there's no place to park, and we would do what we do. We come back, and then we drive to the next place. Or if we were like in North Park, there's a bunch of places that we went where we literally like ran to the next block.
Yeah.
And it was planned out quite neatly. Mac Layton's wife, Michaela, it was her sister who created this Excel spreadsheet of all the times. Um, and then once we hit a place, we'd mark it off, and it would adjust the time in real time to
Mm.
see how we're doing. If we were gonna make our mark or be short. So it was crazy and cool, um, and so yeah, that's
So it
what
was
that's
it
it.
was 70 different venues,
Yeah,
70 different gigs within 24 hours.
yeah. All 10 minutes. With Guinness rules, they had to be 10 minutes. So it was literally like, two songs, and then we'd be off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
nuts. That's so cool. I love it.
yeah.
Um, do you think it was speaking of your drive, um, you said kind of during, I don't know, high school, college life, it was more kind of party vibe for you and you didn't get super serious or driven till a little bit later, but you have a long academic history. Um,
Yeah.
was it a particular school or a particular mentor that turned things around for you? What was it?
Well, so I think going back, like I had good, like my choir experience in like middle school and high school were great, and I had great choir directors, and I learned a lot of stuff. I got, you know my sight reading got pretty decent with choirs, and just I had I had a great experience, and I started doing also musicals in high school. And so I'm like, I want to go to school for musical theater. So I went to USIU, United States International, which is now Alliant. But at that time, they had a great, great, amazing performing arts department, um, and I wasn't taking things so seriously, um, and I wasn't very reliable. Um, just um, those are other stories. I'll tell those stories one of these days. Um, but I had to really check myself and see where I was. I had to check myself in a lot of ways, spiritually, and just kind of mentally where I was, and can I do this? And then everything really started to change when I went to Mesa College in 1991.
Hmm.
I went to Mesa College. So I spent a few years at USIU, went to Mesa College, applied for the classical vocal applied music program, got into that. But the jazz band director at that time, who retired a few years ago, a handful of years ago, James Romeo, he was directing the big band, and he said, "Hey, you ever sung jazz? You want to sing in the big band?" And I said, "Yeah." And not only that, that same semester, I started taking uh, jazz history class, his jazz history class, and that's where like I started getting into jazz. And
Mhm.
for me, I grew up listening to everything. I love all music. I grew up on Stevie Wonder and Motown and R&B and rock and roll and the Beatles. But then there was that period of time, 3 or 4 years, where I really just kind of dove into jazz, and
Mhm.
um, I just started setting some goals for myself, and then that's when Peter Sprague, who I've been playing with for many years, I first heard him when he and his quartet came to the school and performed, and then I started just going out to all the jazz clubs, and even when I was broke, I would just go and see if I can get in, and a lot of times I would just get in because I was just the regular, and they would like get me in. And so that's kind of where things changed. And I made a goal to go to Berkeley. I got there, and um, and where I realized I needed to be serious, and I wanted to be that musician or that singer that all the musicians respected.
Yeah.
That was my goal. I was like, that's what I'm going to be. Um, I don't care how known I get or any of that, but I wanted to be respected, and that was I guess one of the first of many goals that I had and
Mm.
achieved.
Yeah. Well, you are. You
Yeah.
did it. Everybody respects you so much. That's so great. Um, so when you talk to people that are trying to get into the business, trying to kind of step into the music scene here, obviously this is a very, very awkward time, and things are going to be different than we had originally stepped into things. But
Yeah.
what kind of advice are you giving them as far as the academics go? Are your views, that going to college and studying music that way is an absolute must, or what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I don't think there's one right answer to that. I think it depends on what people want. Now, I, obviously, we're speaking now during this time because you know there might be different answers a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, I think that now I think if you are passionate and driven to go to a music school, um, I would do some research to see where they're at and kind of what they're doing, because I think for a lot of people going to a music school this fall, certain schools are not doing certain things.
Yeah.
They're not meeting in ensembles, and if you are somebody that needs to be in a room with people, and which a lot of us are. I mean, as artists, we need that anyway. But from a learning standpoint, reconsider going to school or delaying it. If you've gotten a scholarship or already got accepted, you might want to delay it. And I would never say that except during this time,
Yeah.
because if the school you're going to say, well, no ensembles are meeting this fall, we don't know, we'll reevaluate in spring. I know that doesn't mean there aren't things that you can't learn, but you know, maybe, you know, maybe the better bet is to do some one-on-one lessons, because you can do one-on-one Zoom, or there are people that are doing one-on-ones, being safe and still doing, one-on-one lessons, and learn that way. So it depends on what people want to do. Um, I I'm in one sense, I'm an advocate for school because I think there's a lot of great schools and you can learn. But on the other side, some people are are either they're either like the Bill Gates, where they're beyond school. Like they're just you don't need to be in school. You need to be out performing and doing that. And there are some people like that. Um, and then for the people who they're just asking questions about, okay, well, what do I do? How do I succeed in this business? Because there's a lot of young people that they're going through this pandemic, but they're still a little naive in the sense that how the impact.
Yeah.
because they're not working. We understand the impact because, we're working. You are work for the most successful um, uh, band in town, and so we understand the impact of losing everything.
Mhm.
So what do I tell them? Well, for one, you don't ever want to discourage people of their passions and dreams,
Right. Right.
and and we don't ever want to sugarcoat it either. We want to be real. I think we all at some point had a test. We had to test ourselves, that passion. How much am I passionate enough to do this and keep doing this?
Yeah.
And if I'm not, maybe it's just a hobby.
Right.
If you're passionate about it, then you're going to do whatever it takes to 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 be successful, make a living. And success meaning is just being able to pay your bills and make a living. That's the success level. Some people want to do other things, but um yeah, just learn your craft, get as good as you can, and um do a lot of talking to people, just
Yeah.
uh, you know talk to um, people like you, the Rebecca Jades, the just different people who are successful in town and that are pushing through and doing really good things. I think the hope in all of this is that I know for a fact that there are people that are hungry for art right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that,
Yeah.
maybe even more so than before.
Yeah.
I know this. They're wanting it. So we know that they want it. So therefore, now all we're trying to figure out is a way to get it to them in a seamless way or have different options for them.
Yeah.
So hey, it's not that we do everything that we do for everybody. Some of it we do for ourselves because it fulfills ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's our art and we have to do it. But we we also want to share our art with people, whether
Yeah.
it's 10 people or 100 people, whatever. And people, we don't want to deprive that from people who constantly seek it from us,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody in town who performs has some kind of fan base, whether it's small or big, it doesn't matter. And there's people who go out of their way to either come to your concert or just thank you for blessing them with your voice or their music or whatever. They're out there, they're all over the place. So the hope is, don't give up just because you see everything falling apart.
Yes.
um, be be creative and listen and learn constantly
Mm-hmm.
and practice. Take advantage of the opportunity. We have no excuse. You as a young person who wants to get into this has no excuse not to improve your craft. If you come out of this the same way as you were before, well, it's already over. It's already
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Um, so those are the things that I would say to people who are questioning, looking to get into this. There's opportunity to learn
Mm-hmm.
constantly,
Yes.
constantly.
Yeah. That's great advice. Yeah. And yeah, it may be a good time to buckle down and work on your theory for
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
But it's such a it's such a crazy lesson for us to learn because it's a lesson that um wasn't looming. We didn't know that something like this could even really, well, I don't think most of us knew that something like this could potentially happen. It's not as if we were out foolishly doing our gigs and building businesses in music.
yeah.
um it just happened, and it's, I think, another big lesson going into it, for all of us, is just working on being resilient and um planning for the unexpected. you might not be able to put all your eggs in one basket, not just
Yeah.
being involved in one project, but finding diversity in what you're doing online, and then what you're
Hmm.
doing live too once you go live, because as we're aware, the unexpected definitely happens, and
Yeah.
a lot of the time,
Yep.
we don't see it coming, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we shall see. But I wanted to ask, for the musical productions that are currently going on,
Yeah.
how can we see those?
So it's a fundraiser, and so you can, if you would have caught at the beginning, I think it was like $30 just to watch all of them. I think individually they're like 10. But I don't. There might be other deals. I'm gonna, if you guys go to my um, Facebook page, you could see, you can go to alanandgray.com, and you have all the info there. But if you go to my Facebook page, you see some of the posters and some of the actors involved. But alanandgray.com, and that will give you all the information you need. So the first one was called Legendary, which played on Tuesday, and then yesterday was Bayard. Today is Walton Roy, and then tomorrow the last one. So I was in Legendary, and then tomorrow Freedom Riders, which I'm also in,
Mm,
is about the freedom rides in the 50s and 60s. So
yeah,
pretty powerful musical.
yeah, that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
um you mentioned Hamilton earlier on
Well,
in our discussion. I'm
yeah.
assuming you saw it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it live last year in San Francisco. I just did a road trip with my wife. We saw it. It's like late January, I think, or early February, beginning of February last year, and it was great. Um, and I was trying to plan to see how I could see um, certain friends in their roles. I've been following, because there's like three different tours. There's multiple Broadway tours going on, and my friend Edred, he's in one of the tours, and so I was like, how can we plan? When is it coming back around with him?
Yeah.
Um, and but it was great to see the original cast, and I think they did a really good job of filming the version in a way that everybody can see visually. I it's also great to have the captions on, because some of the words move real fast, that you can really, it also makes the words more clear for a lot of people. So
Mm-hmm.
they did a really, really, really good job with that.
Yeah. I know I didn't get the opportunity to see it live. I wanted to. So, going into like watching it on TV, my expectations were huge just because of how, hyped it's been and
Yeah.
everything, and just people, their comments. And I just have to say, even though, it wasn't like a live production, it blew my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a masterpiece. It's
It is.
just so unbelievable. So if you haven't seen it, definitely see it. And
It's
I
yeah,
love that
it's
idea of putting
incredible.
the captions on. I'm gonna have to rewatch it like that.
Yeah, rewatch it with the captions, because then you're like, you just. I mean, I've listened to the music quite a bit. It's one of my workout music over
Mhm,
the couple years. I have certain go-to things, and I've played
mhm.
a lot of Hamilton, so I catch a lot of the lyrics. But but still, even having the captions on them, I'm just like, whoa, it's
Yeah,
just it's pretty brilliant.
yeah, it really is. Well, I before we go, where is the best place for people to check out everything that you're doing, the live stuff that you're doing? Is it Facebook, or where are you most active?
Yeah, I'm most active on Facebook. I'm trying to be more active on Instagram. My Instagram is at Lenju Music, Lenju JU Music. Um, and yeah, I've taken a little break from doing the live because these musicals, it was a lot of work. So I had to like have some downtime, but it was well worth it. But within the next day or so, I'll jump back onto it and do some more.
Yeah. We'll look forward to that. And it's so great to talk to you. It's so great to see your face. I hope in the very near future, we'll get to see each other face to face again. That definitely goes for everybody. And um I just hope us doing stuff like this that it's helpful, that it's entertaining, and I just really want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to encourage everybody, and again share those ideas. And um, I think my number one piece of advice right now is for people to get their home studios together.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think if you're a singer out there and you don't have much professional experience or technical experience with stuff like that, don't be afraid to approach this stuff. It's very user friendly.
yeah,
I created a video, and it's basically my experience setting up my home studio. And you can find that at awesomevocals.com.
yeah,
So check that out if you are just super
yeah,
scared of setting your studio up. But I hope that, everyone will like and share this with anybody that they think, needs a little encouragement, and we'll just keep that good stuff going, okay, Leonard?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
don't be afraid because early in the pandemic, everything was on back order because
Right.
everybody was trying to buy it up. Now things are becoming more available, but it was hard to buy an HDMI cord.
Yeah.
Now it's getting easier. So yeah, buy that
Yeah.
stuff.
Get it. All right. Thank you again. So good to
Yes,
see you. Thank you,
yes,
everybody that was watching. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.
yes, yes.
Bye.